Hey everyone, in this episode we're going to talk about the film The Curse of La Llorona. We're going to discuss how this film fits into the Conjuring Universe and why it didn't meet our expectations. This is episode 137 of the Reel-ists podcast. Hello, listeners. Welcome. I'm Donnie.
And I'm Oscar.
And we have our producer, Ruben, here. Hi, Ruben says. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Reel-ists podcast.
The Reel-ists podcast. I feel like we need to start having some extra sounds.
We need to get some sound bites. I think we talked about that.
Like that, right? The sound bites.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. Just different sound effects. Before we get started on this episode, I want to just quickly remind you guys that we are on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Team Reel-ists, Team REELISTS, no dash. We're also on YouTube, and we're also on iTunes as well. So if you'd like to rate us and leave us a comment, let us know how we're doing with our podcast, give us some feedback. We would greatly appreciate it. Also want to remind you guys that this is a spoiler discussion, so if you have not seen the film that we're going to talk about, now's your chance to turn back, go watch it, and then come back and listen to the episode.
Unless you feel like you're not going to watch this episode, watch this movie, and
you just want to hear what we have to say about it. So, which is fair too.
We'll break it down for you.
This week we are talking about The Curse of La Llorona. The Curse of La Llorona.
You're saying like the movie,
the trailer? What they did in the trailer.
The Curse of La Llorona.
Or with the proper enunciation, The Curse of La Llorona. La Llorona. See?
Yeah.
Comprende? So, as always, Oscar, we'll let you start us off with your quick thoughts. What did you think of The Curse of La Llorona?
Womp womp. We don't have any sound bites, but no. I will say for the jump scares that you were given in this movie, it lands those. But in terms of a lot of other things of the movie, mainly the plot and the characters, I just think it was one of those that wasn't well thought out. And was kind of more of shoot in and let's get this movie made for the sake of it's a quick cash grab kind of situation. What it feels like, at least from how I finished seeing the movie altogether and kind of just looking at the production value and the marketing and all that, and the release date too, like the week before Avengers. Like you know that's the only weekend it's gonna really make money. After that, it probably won't. So that's kind of what disappointed me, was that I feel like this is a story that has great potential. And I don't want to say treat it seriously, not to say that the story or like the writers didn't take it seriously or the director didn't try to film it. A lot of them were actually first times involved in like a big project like this, but I just feel like this is something that to the Latino community, it's a folk tale that really like matters to some degree. It's like one of those main ones that people know generations and they mention. I don't know how it is now in terms of like if it's still being told to kids, but it's one that most people are at least familiar with the name. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that would have been a great opportunity to really take advantage of that, like find the deepest most depth story that there is that's told, spread around. But I feel like this one kind of just takes the title of it, takes the concept, and then does its Hollywood spin on it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of things that were more so on the disappointing side, but the one thing that it had going for it was that it did have its jump scares. And it's exactly like in the same way, like if you go into a haunted maze or not haunted maze, that would be bad. Just go into like one of those mazes during the Halloween time. You expect the jump scares, you expect to get those reactions, but ultimately at the end of it, you move on. So like not many actually, not like it traumatizes you, not like it terrifies you to the point where you don't want to move. A few, individuals that go in there and have that experience. But for most people, they go in with the like, oh yeah, I expect to, have a scream here and there, but overall that's it. It's kind of what you get with this movie. You definitely get your like, oh man, that got me. But then you continue on. So.
Right. Okay.
That wasn't quick, but
Yeah, they never are, but it's fine. I think our listeners expect that from you now. So a little synopsis. In 1970s Los Angeles, the legendary ghost La Llorona is stalking the night and the children. Ignoring the eerie warning of a troubled mother, a social worker and her own kids are drawn into a frightening supernatural realm. Their only hope of surviving La Llorona's deadly wrath is a disillusioned priest who practices mysticism to keep evil at bay.
I just want to say, I know I put it together afterwards, but as soon as you said it, I heard you say deadly rap. And I was like...
Wait, what did I say?
It's deadly wrath, I think is what you said. But I just heard deadly rap. And I was like...
La Llorona's deadly rap? Can you imagine? Like, she's just, like, spitting bars.
That's what I was like, oh, that was a different approach.
I wouldn't be surprised if we, like, YouTube that and you found, like, La Llorona rap.
That'd be funny.
I'm right there with you, Oscar. The film itself was... I will say it wasn't like a memorable film by any means. Like, I mean, I think it was one of those jump scare films. It was a pretty much like a haunted house type of film, even though La Llorona wasn't specifically drawn to the house, but to the family and to the people that she was, kind of haunting, I guess. But it basically felt like this haunted house, kind of film. The trailer, in a lot of instances, even reminded me of like Winchester. Just like dark and eerie and an old, like kind of a cliche kind of horror story.
Yes.
So I mean, it had its jump scares. It definitely, it succeeded on that end. At the same time, you do know when the jump scares are coming, so it's not like it's completely shocking to you or anything. No. You're like, I'm holding my breath or like covering my eyes because you're anticipating the scare. But I thought it was, I think it's like one of those like fun Friday night films. Like let's hit up your friends and go watch a scary film. And
I just feel like this is one
like
of those
a cheap thrills kind of thing.
This is one that naturally, if you do in that situation, go see it with like friends at home or whatever, it's going to be one that you just talk smack like throughout the entire movie or afterwards. And like, yeah, because we've done that a few times where it's just like, it's not that you don't take it serious. It didn't get made in a way that terrified you. Mm-hmm. So of course you're just going to have natural funny things to react to.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And it didn't help too that there were some like comedic moments in the film and like a little, a few one-liners, specifically from the guy that played the priest.
Yeah.
He had some like comic relief throughout the film, which were some of like some of my favorite parts, I think. But I mean, it's definitely, there are things you could like make fun of about the film. It's not like and it kind of, I don't really know how to feel about these kind of films. I know obviously there is an audience for them. Like people go and see films like this and like jump scare type of films. By no means is it like I don't think supposed to be this super deep like thought provoking in-depth story, that's just happens to be scary and terrifying. It's like like you were saying, kind of like a cash grab. It's going for like the cheap scares and to try to make some money. But it's just But
that's why I said I think the best way to think about it is like one of those mazes that you get at Halloween where, yes, you're walking in and there's going to be actors that are intentionally supposed to pop out and try to grab you or try to scare you. So it has that tendency to just expectation, I guess, is just right there. Like you expected to go in there, you're going to get it. Maybe one or two get you, but for the most part, you're just like, okay. And then you continue on and you walk out.
Yeah.
Very few of them. I think like the ones that actually scare you now are the ones we have to sign like that agreement that you're not going to like
hit them,
punch or react or So I think those are the ones that probably are now scaring people, but generally most mazes,
those would scare me.
Generally now it's very, very PG in terms of just like boo. I don't know.
Well, I mean, now you brought up mazes, so I wanted to ask, you didn't go in that maze at Universal, huh?
Oh no, okay. I don't. So, I mean, I'm one of those that would easily get scared, and I mean, Universal does like the actual things that I hated as a child, like the Chucky. I don't know if they do it anymore, but the werewolf, Frankenstein.
They did. I don't know if they still do it, but that one was freaking.
What was it called? The House of Terror or something like that? The Monsters of Terror? I don't know.
Oh well, now I think they have the Walking Dead one, huh? Right?
Well, they have the Walking Dead, and now they do like relevant themed bases, like they did Krampus. Krampus, not Krampus.
I was just like, yeah, Krampus. Okay.
They did Stranger Things.
Okay.
They did. There was another one. Was it the Purge one? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're doing more like relevant than the classical monsters.
Mm-hmm.
The classical Universal monsters, I guess, would be.
They should have done a La Llorona one.
They probably will. For this October, they probably will.
Well, what did you think of La Llorona in this film? Like we saw her.
Like
we saw in the beginning of the film. It was like a little, origin story of how she became La Llorona, and then
a very bad way to like it. The thing is, it didn't clarify it in the sense of like why does she haunt. It was just more of like
it told us why she did what she did.
Yes.
Initially.
Yes.
But what is the attraction to others? Like, who does she target?
Right. It didn't satisfy in terms of like understanding. Okay, I understand why she's specifically targeting like children, and it wasn't like there was it's children who are bad to their parents, or who children who are have done things that are sinful or whatever. Like they didn't clarify that, so it was just kind of more of like, is she just randomly choosing a family and they're just in that bad position that they got selected and they have to fight their way? So it just didn't make sense. And the origin was in Mexico, and they didn't explain how the heck she got to L.A.
Mm-hmm. Like how her spirit
she just like free traveling.
LA. Right.
She tried. She just walking down all through the five, I guess. Just
what
else
was I gonna say? You made me think of something. Oh, and I was gonna say too. In the movie, I mean, I don't know how appropriate or not, but like she was targeting Hispanic kids. So it's like, is that if you're like a white kid or a black kid, you're safe? Like she ain't messing with you. Like is she only going after her own kind, her own people?
And that's the thing. Like they didn't do anything that established, it's if you're from the town, or if you have any history or heritage from this town, or if and then the thing, I know La Llorona has different interpretations, but generally it's the matter of like if you're a bad kid or you behave badly as a kid, mm-hmm. that's where you get haunted by her. But this movie doesn't give you any indication that the kids are bad, and these kids don't seem bad.
They weren't. They seem like pretty well behaved
kids. Kids that don't deserve to be like haunted and killed. And so that's why it's like it just doesn't make sense. And I know one of the characters, she was like, I sent her to you, but that wasn't even clear. Because I thought it was because the little boy saw her. I don't know. There was just a lot of things that would just they took the concept and they just said, oh, okay, a lady that haunts kids, perfect, we'll go with it.
Right. And two, I was dang. This is when I need like a little pen and paper, because like you'll say things and they'll spark like thoughts and then I forget them. Yeah, man. I mean, I will say it was a little. Seeing because they show you her like her face, and as this evil entity.
Yes.
And it is disturbing looking, but it's also like it's also like seriously, really, like it just
yeah.
I don't know how to feel about it. Like I don't know if I
the nun. I think the nun was scarier than La Llorona.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They did the cliche. Too much dark makeup, and they try to make that work with me. I think it was yellow eyes. I'm not sure.
Yeah, yellow, orange eyes, and then she had like the black tears streaming down her face. That part made sense. But it seemed like I feel like they just really tried to, I know she's an evil entity, but it seemed like they really tried to demonize her and really make her look like this demon, scary looking thing. I know she is a scary figure, and but I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like less is more, and I feel like they were just laying it on a little thick with the makeup and then kind of mixing it in with like the actress's actual face. Like there was at the climax when the little boy was holding a locket that I guess it was her locket.
Yeah.
So then she like turned back into
human.
But
then I think that was also her like tricking the boy into thinking like, oh, I'm not gonna hurt you, I see the horrors in my way.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mirror, and then you see that it was like her demon face again. So did we say it was spoilers? Because we totally just spoiled
we did at the beginning.
But yeah, so I feel like this is what the problem with the movie was, that it became a classical, not classical, but it became a common cliched horror film.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God. Yeah, for sure. So speaking of like cliched horror films, so not apparently, but this film is in the same universe as the Conjuring universe. So we have like the Conjuring, the Nun, and now this story. And I wanted to ask your thoughts on this because I really don't understand. I guess they're just trying to build this universe where evil is just like running rampant everywhere. Like no matter where you go, there's some
Like
evil
bad universe
spirit.
to be in.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm wondering what the purpose is of it all, you know? And like specifically, like La Llorona is, like the Conjuring and Annabelle, and like I can understand
Nun,
those, like
yeah.
and the Nun, but like this is like its own story, like its own myth. It has its own origin. So I don't understand.
From my understanding, was that this is its own thing. It's from the producers that make the Conjuring movies, and they did that little tie-in with Annabelle. But it was just one of when I was looking into the movie before we saw it. That was my interpretation of like it. Yes, in a way, it's like part of that same universe, but at the same time, they're not trying to make it a bigger part of like, oh, the Warrens are going to come in and investigate this or anything like that. It was just kind of more of like a Easter egg, so to speak, like in the same way that Pixar does the little Easter eggs for other of their characters from their movies. That's how I took it as, because it was like one scene, and it's the priest is from, I think, the first Annabelle movie. So I think that's kind of was just like a little like, oh, if you watched our other movies, you'll understand that that's the
But
same
I mean,
character.
is he playing the same character?
I believe he's playing the same character, which confirms it is part of the universe. But they're never trying to tie it back into like the other characters, because the thing was the Conjuring 1 and 2 are cases by the Warrens, and then the Annabelle doll is because they had a case with that, and then the Nun was also they did something with that tied, I think, and they show it in the Nun movie. I just don't remember the details. So like it was like they were involved to some degree with those things, so that's why they're spinoffs. But La Llorona was never something they dealt with. It was just like its own thing. But yeah, that's why it's confusing. It's like it's part of it, but it's not a part of it. It was like made by the same people, but I don't know. It's very odd.
Yeah, it's a little, I don't know, just random.
Unclear,
to me.
yeah.
Right. Well, despite the movie, I mean, we're kind of like underwhelmed with the movie. It sounds like.
What are you talking about? I loved it.
I mean, I feel like it definitely had potential. And like you were saying, like a lot of people have heard of La Llorona at some point or another, especially if you're of Hispanic origin. Growing up, did your parents ever try to use that on you? Like, if you didn't do something, like, did they ever bring that up, or was that something that they like threw at you, or was it just like you knew who she was, but like they didn't really?
I'll be honest. No. Well, to answer your question, no, they never did. But not because it was just more of like they didn't really believe in that one itself. It was just my mom was more on the your acts are the things that you need to be careful of, because that may come back and like bite you. That karma kind of superstition. But she was never into like the like there's monsters and creatures and spirits that will try to take your soul. So I guess she just never got that. My dad could care less about any of those things. But for me, and maybe Ruben might be able to help and clarify who I'm thinking of. There is one, like, I don't even know if I'm just like, maybe it was just in our community, but there was one that if you saw the girl on the side as you were driving, you had to pull over and pick her, like let her in.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was La Llorona. That's for the longest time. I thought that was La Llorona, and that's why I was like, well,
who is that, Ruben?
Is that?
Do you know?
I don't know, like, officially.
But that's who I always thought.
You told
it
me
was.
that. I know that because you told me that one night we were driving and we saw somebody on that, like,
Oh.
coming from Ruben's house, I think, and you were like, oh, now you have to pull over and let him in. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's why I was that. And that one made sense, because if you didn't pull over and help her, she would come back and kill you.
Car, right?
Yeah, and kill you.
Freak out and you die.
And they did a Supernatural episode on that.
I was just gonna, didn't they?
That was like the first episode, I think. But yeah, that's what I thought La Llorona was. But I don't know who. So I didn't know who. I guess I was completely off.
Ruben, did you know who she was growing up? Did your parents ever bring her up?
No, I don't think so.
I think it just became for I think maybe our generation. It became more of the the stories that you would hear in like the community, but never like being told to you. It was just like
Like a folk tale or whatever.
at this point, yeah,
Yeah.
It's
I don't think it's like something used as a scare tactic.
not anymore, right?
Well, it used to be. I mean, because at least from my coworker, she said that her mom she has like a lot of sisters, and her mom used to do that to her, and she said that she's done it to her kids before too, which is I'm like that's kind of messed up, that you would.
How about the kukui?
Yeah, my brother does that to my niece.
Which one is that one?
I guess just the boogeyman. I don't know.
It's like it's just
oh.
a monster, but like
Just say the kukui's gonna
when she's not listening, he'll say that. He'll just say like kukui, and then she'll go, "No, Poppy, stop!" It scares her.
Like he's around the corner.
Yeah, it's so mean. I didn't grow up hearing of La Llorona. I learned about her when I was like, I want to say 13 from my sister-in-law. We were like, I was in Bakersfield, and it was like we heard something outside, and I was like, "What is that?" And she was like, "It might be La Llorona." And I was like, "What's that?" Like I had never even heard of the name. And then she told me like the story, and then I got so scared. And obviously it's just a myth, or folk tale, but like it just sounded so scary to like hear that story.
I just never understood, and I still don't, the intention for the children. I mean, like, yes, I get the scare tactic. That makes total sense. I just don't understand, because she killed her own children, why is she taking your children? Mm-hmm. And is it specifically children that are behaving bad? But her children weren't necessarily claimed as bad children.
No.
So
I mean, they just, that's who she leashed out on, and that's what one of the confusing things about this movie. And I wish they had done a little bit better of a job of addressing that. Like, why specifically was she targeting the people she was targeting? And I guess that they were. I mean, I get the whole. The movie is called The Curse of La Llorona, so I get the whole curse aspect in terms of the protagonist. Trying to intervene with the lady who already had the curse, and because she intervened, I guess she inadvertently brought the curse upon herself and her family.
But see, I thought it was just because the boy saw the La Llorona.
Her son?
Yeah, because he got out of the car and he goes and wanders a little bit off to the side, and then he sees the lady crying. So that's why.
So like, if any little boy had been walking by at that moment,
yeah, I don't.
She would have.
I didn't take it as like, because that's the thing that yes, the mom of the original children that the story started with getting haunted by her. She said, yes, I said your kid should be cursed or whatever. She did something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's how it would work in like passing it along.
Right.
It's like, oh, don't take my kids. Take these
instead. Yeah. I don't. Who knows, man? I mean, like I said, they should have done a little bit better job addressing that.
I feel like if anything, she should be attacking the like adult men. Like if her husband,
because that's
found
the thing
someone
too.
more beautiful, she should be like, I hate all men. Let's be honest.
But then they tried to say, oh well, she took the things that she knew were priceless to the guy or his children. So it's like, I don't know. I'm like, why aren't you targeting like single fathers? Like you're out here like messing with all these moms and their babies. But yeah, it was, it is what it is. I will say that despite the kind of sometimes ridiculousness of the film, I feel like it did have some pretty strong acting in it. And they were like, the actors really did a good job working with the material that they were given.
I thought the kids did good.
I thought, so the main actress, Linda Cardellini, she's the mom. She was in Green Book, right? That's the wife, right? Of Viggo Mortensen in Green Book?
I believe so. The face looks familiar.
I think that's her. I'll just fact check that.
I know she's in Avengers, because I just mentioned that to you yesterday, where she's playing Hawkeye's wife.
That's her?
But
okay.
That's all I know.
I'm laughing because I think she's a good actress, and I really liked her in Green Book. I liked her performance in this movie, but she had to do a lot of screaming in this movie, and she has like a pretty distinctive like yell, like holler that she does, and she did it the exact same way in every scene that she screamed. Like it sounded the exact same, so it was just really funny. I'm just thinking about it. It made me chuckle. Sorry. But I did like her, and the mom that she was trying to help, I think she did good. I mean, for the little screen time that she had, I mean, she was totally like, when we first saw her on screen, she was supposed to be like really shaken up and, scared that La Llorona was going to get her kids, and very kind of paranoid and a little schizophrenic, it looked like. But I think she,
I thought she did good. I thought her character was pointless in the third act, that they try to give that little twist.
Yeah.
Bye. We don't have to.
That was
we don't have time
I'm
for
like
that.
that's old news. Like, why are you trying to? And that's another thing too. That she in that third act she came to kidnap her kids to give to La Llorona so she could get her kids back, but then like instantaneously almost she was like, then on the mom side again she was like, go get your kids, go find them. Like, you know, like it was a complete 180, but it was done so in a weird amount of time. Like it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like if you were that adamant about, my voice keeps cracking. I'm sorry. Puberty is still hitting me. If you were that adamant about getting your kids back and exchanging her kids for your kids, you know, with La Llorona, and that was like your sole purpose, like you came here to do that, and then just like a light switch went off or flipped on or whatever, and you're just
right.
like,
It wasn't that she was convinced. It wasn't that she. I guess the only thing that was that she saw the horror of the family. But that doesn't. I mean, that you were willing to do that. Like,
yeah,
initially.
you knew what you knew. You knew who she was. You knew who La Llorona was. You know how she works.
Yeah.
Like she's got to take kids. Like, so I don't know. That didn't really sit well with me. And the third act in general was just, you know.
I mean, to be honest, by the third act of it, I think the interest wasn't there. It was just like, all right, well, let's just see how this story plays out. Is it gonna go with the common route of you think you're finished and you got away with it, but no, she's still there, or is it gonna be with they defeated her and the curse is, you know, broken and no one's ever gonna be haunted again, in which it did that case. So like it was gonna be.
We think
right.
They didn't leave any kind of open-ended like.
It was it was a very very abrupt ending from like, oh yeah, we did what we had to. She's gone.
You know, I feel like this movie didn't have the best transitions, because even thinking about the ending, the very ending where the priest, you know, defeats the spirit, they go away, or he goes off, and then the two kids are like, I'll race you inside. Okay. Like, ha ha ha, like this and that, this, like we all didn't just almost die. This didn't just happen. Like, let's just run back in the house all joyfully and gleefully. Like, no, I would have been paranoid, traumatized. Yeah. I'd just be afraid to go back in that house. So it's like, I feel like the transitions with scenes and with the characters and their motives and how, you know, what their next move was, it could have like flowed better instead of just like.
I could see that.
I feel like a lot of things were just kind of cut and dry. Like, okay, now we're really scared. Okay, now we're happy. Okay, now we're angry. Now, you know.
Yeah.
So. You know, I'm not trying to rag on this movie. I know it kind of sounds like that's what we're doing.
But I mean, it's just one of those like disappointments, and there were some good things, yes, but it wasn't enough to satisfy. And you know, and it's kind of disappointing because, you know, this is an opportunity for people to become aware of a new culture kind of like lore, but it became more of, oh, let's just do something that will give us jump scares and, you know, won't take it seriously. And I feel like in a way it can reflect bad. And like people are going to see this and be like, people were scared of this little like cheesy, annoying stuff. Like that doesn't make sense.
Right.
Momo's scarier than this or something.
AKA Monique.
And that itself was just funny when we did our own version of La Llorona.
It's your girl Lorraine, aka La Llorona.
I wasn't trying to take those kids.
I just want to address all these rumors. Okay, so did you have like a favorite part from this film, or a favorite scene or something?
To me, the favorite jump scare that the movie had, I would say, was it's kind of like a sequence, but it starts off with the daughter taking her bath upstairs, and then La Llorona's there and pretending, you know, she's helping the daughter, and then she starts drowning the daughter. I thought it was gonna go dark and the daughter was gonna die at that point, but and then the mom breaks in and like they get the daughter out, and then La Llorona's there, and like from like that kind of just starts a sequence. I did like that. I did like that sequence because at that point I feel like the rush is there, the thrill of this is it. There's no, you know, next day, next morning. Because all the other scares were just like, boo, ah, ah, and then next morning. And, you know, so it wasn't like, it was, you can tell that this was going to be a sequence where something was going to push the story further. Either they were going to temporarily defeat it, or, you know, someone was going to die, or something was going to happen. So I feel like that sequence did well. A few of the jump scares were nice, you know, like the mom looking back at the door or back at the bedroom, at the daughter's bedroom, and the door swinging, and she sees it through the mirror. the little boy going into the daughter's room or your sister's room, and the window like pushing him down, and that's where she comes and chases him. So I thought there was some of those like were good scares, but
yeah, I really liked the one where she kept hearing like someone like kind of trying to open the door or banging on the door, and she went and she saw that it was her son sleepwalking. And then, he was trying to get outside, and she tried to walk him back to bed, and then the door like burst open, and then he fainted. And I just really liked that scene because the camera is from outside looking in through the door, and you can see her trying to close the door, and the camera's kind of zooming in and swirling in on what's behind the door, and you see the boy.
Spirit is coming,
I really liked that shot. Like that was like one of my favorite shots of the movie. I was like that I really liked that, and I think that's in the trailer too. But yeah, and the bathtub scene too was, when she was like rinsing and, it was La Llorona behind her. Ugh, that just is like creepy.
Right.
Like she's just, you think it's your mom and no, it's La Llorona.
Like imagine if she was just like, thanks mom, like trying to.
Yeah, and like touches back and feels like this like weird scaly.
And I do want to mention
skin or something.
There was, and this is why we say that the story wasn't really well thought out, because the daughter was in the trance, right? Like the daughter was trying to go to La Llorona at that point because of the whole like, I don't know what, it was like a call. Mm-hmm. And so like they put them in the closet intentionally so that they don't go anywhere or she doesn't get them. And then all of a sudden she's out of the trance. So I was just like, there was no like, oh, she woke up or she snapped back. It was just like next scene she was normal. And I was just like, oh, that was
right.
That was not a bad.
And then too, putting them in the closet. I don't understand how a closet is going to keep La Llorona from getting you. Like, I just don't.
Right.
I don't.
Because clearly she can be in the bathroom with you already.
Right.
So.
Like I don't get like where is it safe? Like behind the closet? Okay. Like yeah.
That's why it's a better story to just be like, look, La Llorona wasn't going for the kids. There's a bad conception going on. That
There's rumors. I just want to clarify here. Okay, well, with all that said, Oscar, what is your final real score for La Llorona?
This is probably going to be one of my lowest for the year, as you probably couldn't tell. Right. One of the lowest, who knows, but 1.5 is going to be my score. Mm-hmm. I just felt like this was just... and I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like this was just not really well thought out in terms of like, let's make a great story with this tale. This was just more of let's use a concept that this character, is known for and make a horror film. And I understand that it was a first time. I'm not sure if it was like director and producer or writer, but like it was like a first time for a few of those big positions. But I feel like you wouldn't want to just try to skip by. Like I feel like if this is your first big project, you'd want to do your very best. And really try to make it stand out or make it unique or different, right? But I just feel like a lot of this was like one-on-ones of let's make a horror film 101. We need, a spirit. Mm-hmm. Check. Right. Now we need to find ways to put jump scares. Check.
Yeah.
Now we need hope that we can defeat it. Check. We defeated it. Check.
Yeah.
End credits.
Right. It's like if you're in college and you're like, I really want to be a horror film director,
or writer, or anything.
And this is like your project, for that sucks, man. Sorry, I don't know why I'm saying sorry. And we talked about this briefly. It's just so much work goes into a film, like so much work. So it's like it isn't fun to tear down a film and talk about all the negative things about it. But unfortunately, it just wasn't one of the greater ones. So yeah, I left us with no choice. My hands are tied, okay? But my score is gonna be the same. It's a 1.5. It was other than just a cheap thrill, like a quick fun time.
Cheap thrills.
Like a Friday night popcorn flick. Like let's go get jump scared.
Just saying, Sia said she loves cheap thrills, so maybe this might be the movie for her.
Right, she might like this one. But yeah, I think it had potential to. The story of La Llorona, I think, is so terrifying in and of itself. So to see this film kind of, I guess, taint that myth or dilute it, and I don't know, it's not as scary to me anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when the Momo thing, like when Momo first came out, I was so scared of it, and then we saw that funny little video, that someone did,
Monique.
and then it didn't make it as scary. It's kind of like this.
Yeah.
This movie took away some of the scary factor from me.
Do you hear that, Tony?
Don't be doing that outside my door at like 3 a.m.
Oh my gosh!
I'm like, Eric. But yeah, I know, right?
I'm like, oh, I thought you weren't scared.
But yeah, so 1.5 is going to be my final score for this film. So listeners, definitely let us know, what you guys thought of La Llorona, if you loved it, if you hated it, where it falls on the list of
horror film
of
scale.
favorite horror films or least favorite horror films for that matter. Remember, we're on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Also, you can leave us comments on YouTube and iTunes as well. So thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.